Welcome to Xi Jinping Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: America's 10-year-old fentanyl epidemic is still getting worse. The return of panda diplomacy, what it suggests about China-US relations. China has thousands of Navalny's, hidden from the public. The real culture wars. Xi signals China ready to step up support for developing nations. America's 10-year-old fentanyl epidemic is still getting worse. Economist. The Biden administration is using artificial intelligence, AI, to increase seizures of fentanyl at the Mexican border, according to Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security. Since Biden became president, the federal government has devoted more money to treatment than interdiction. Seizures of fentanyl at the border almost doubled last year. However, only about 20% of lorries and less than 5% of cars are X-rayed as they enter America. Mayorkas wants to increase that and send more agents to the border to curb both drug trafficking and illegal immigration. However, last month Republicans in Congress killed a bipartisan bill that would have beefed up policing of the border. The Sinaloa cartel has become Mexico's main fentanyl producer. The return of panda diplomacy, what it suggests about China-US relations. South China Morning Post. China is returning its giant pandas to the US as part of its bid to improve people-to-people relations between the two countries. The move is seen as a soft power initiative to improve China's image in the US, and it comes after the country withdrew its pandas from the US in 2019. The return of pandas to the US is seen as a positive step towards improving bilateral relations, but analysts caution that it will not significantly change public opinion about China, which remains largely negative. However, the move is seen as a positive signal that China values its relations with the US and is willing to make compromises to improve ties. China has thousands of Navalny's, hidden from the public. New York Times. The author of this opinion piece discusses the lack of a Chinese equivalent to Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. The author points out that while there are Chinese dissidents and activists who have spoken out against the Chinese government, there is no organized opposition party or leader in China. The author highlights the cases of individuals such as Ren Jiqiang, Liu Xiaobo, and Su Zhiyong who have faced repercussions for their criticism of the Chinese government. The author argues that the lack of a prominent opposition figure in China is due to the authoritarian nature of the government and its suppression of dissent. The real culture wars. Foreign affairs. Authoritarian regimes recognize that controlling culture is crucial to maintaining power. Governments like China, Cuba, and Hungary have employed various tactics to manipulate and regulate art, music, film, and literature to serve their interests and suppress dissent. In contrast, democracies must harness the power of culture to counteract authoritarianism. Artists, writers, scholars, and cultural creators play a critical role in shaping narratives, challenging state-dictated histories, and promoting alternative visions for the future. Culture can serve as an antibody against authoritarianism by raising questions, encouraging empathy, and promoting freedom of thought. To counter autocracies, the United States and its allies should support independent thinkers and creators within their own countries, rather than imposing American culture. This can be done through financial assistance, translation of works, international travel opportunities, and support for events and festivals. Global protections for artistic freedom should be strengthened, and artists should have access to channels of financial assistance and support when targeted by repressive governments. Western governments should recognize the importance of culture creators and develop relationships with them to understand their needs and provide support without endangering them. The aim should be to lift and celebrate authentic creative thinkers and works, rather than shaping their message. Culture may seem like a secondary issue in a world filled with wars, economic competition, and political conflicts. However, traditional tactics such as elections and institution building have not been effective in protecting democracy. Cultivating the popular will is crucial for democracy to survive and thrive, and cultural creators are key to sparking and cultivating that will from within societies. By supporting culture and empowering artists and intellectuals, democracies can counteract authoritarianism and promote freedom. She signals China ready to step up support for developing nations. Bloomberg. Chinese President Xi Jinping has pledged to be a bigger voice for developing economies, while hosting Sierra Leone President Julius Maada Bio in Beijing. She said the two nations should work together in the UN Security Council to jointly safeguard the interests of Africa and developing countries. China has been attempting to strengthen its relationships with emerging economies, and Xi has cast his Belt and Road Initiative as an alternative to US-led global leadership. Secret military files reveal when Russia would consider using nuclear weapons, including the destruction of 20% of its ballistic missile submarines, FT. Yahoo! Russia has drawn up scenarios for the deployment of nuclear weapons, according to documents leaked to the Financial Times. The 2008 to 2014 documents outline how much of Russia's military defense system would need to be destroyed in order to trigger nuclear warfare. For example, a nuclear response would be considered if 20% of Russia's strategic ballistic missile submarines were eliminated. The documents also include scenarios in which China invades Russia, and when Russia might deploy nuclear weapons in a first strike scenario. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only Dr. Six, coming to you from the six-dimensional world to bring you the latest news and analysis. Let's dive right in. First up, it seems America's fentanyl epidemic just can't catch a break. The Biden administration is using AI technology to increase seizures of fentanyl at the Mexican border. This is a positive step, as it shows a shift towards prioritizing treatment over interdiction. However, there's still a long way to go. Only a small percentage of vehicles entering the U.S. are being thoroughly checked, and a recent bill to beef up border policing was killed by Republicans. It's clear that more needs to be done to tackle both drug trafficking and illegal immigration. Next, we have the return of panda diplomacy between China and the U.S. China is sending its giant pandas back to the U.S. in an effort to improve people-to-people relations. While this is a positive gesture, it's unlikely to change public opinion about China overnight. However, it does show that China values its relations with the US and is willing to make compromises. Who knows, maybe the pandas will work their magic and bring about a little more understanding between the two countries. Moving on to China, it's no secret that the country has a tight grip on dissent. Unlike Russia's Alexei Navalny, there is no prominent opposition figure in China. The authoritarian nature of the Chinese government suppresses any organized opposition. Dissidents and activists who have spoken out against the government have faced severe repercussions. It's a stark reminder of the challenges faced by those who dare to challenge authority. Speaking of authority, authoritarian regimes like China, Cuba, and Hungary recognize the power of culture in maintaining control. They manipulate and regulate art, music, film, and literature to serve their interests and suppress dissent. On the other hand, democracies must harness the power of culture to counteract authoritarianism. Artists, writers, and cultural creators play a crucial role in shaping narratives and promoting freedom of thought. Supporting independent thinkers and creators within democracies is key to protecting democracy and promoting freedom. In other news, President Xi Jinping of China has pledged to be a bigger voice for developing economies. China has been strengthening its relationships with emerging economies and positioning its Belt and Road Initiative as an alternative to US-led global leadership. This move could have significant implications for the global geopolitical landscape, as China seeks to expand its influence and challenge the dominance of Western powers. Last but not least, leaked documents reveal that Russia has drawn up scenarios for the deployment of nuclear weapons. These documents outline when Russia would consider using nuclear weapons, including in the event of a significant loss to its military defense system. It's a chilling reminder of the potential consequences of global conflict and the delicate balance of power between nuclear-armed nations. And there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of some of the latest news and analysis. Now it's time for you to join the conversation. What are your thoughts on these developments? Do you have any questions for Dr. Six? Let's hear it in the comments below. Remember, stay curious and keep exploring the six-dimensional world. Until next time, this is Dr. Six signing off. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the Six Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of Six Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the Six Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize Six Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, sixdobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive Six Do Brief via email.